Thank you. I appreciate that. So it's always good to take part in these panels, and looking forward to moderating this panel today in terms of discussing funding opportunities in terms of state, federal related efforts. We have a great panel here today to discuss various things in terms of, again, things that are happening at the state level, federal level in terms of incentives. And again, my name is Chris Kearns, acting Energy Commissioner with the Rhode Island Office of Energy Resources. Maybe just for those that are watching this live, if we could maybe do a quick round of introductions. We'll start with Scott and work our way down.
Great, appreciate it, Chris. Scott Noyes with Milton Cat, or our Energy Services Division, MC Squared Energy Services.
Karen Stewart, Renewable Energy Fund Manager at Rhode Island Commerce.
Kristin, the Executive Director of Northeast Renewable Energy Coalition.
Brett Feldman, Manager of Policy, Planning, and Evaluation for Rhode Island Energy's energy efficiency programs.
And Greg Miller, a Business Development Officer for the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank.
Perfect. And, one of the things that we'd like to do with this is I'll certainly tee up some questions after the panel gives a little background on what they do in terms of efforts. But if you guys have questions throughout, please just raise your hands. Happy to take questions on the spot. I like a more interactive dialogue with these panels. And I think we'll start out first with energy efficiency in terms of whenever we talk with a household or a business or a municipality, a lot of times people talk about the renewables before doing all the energy efficiency measures first on the property. Reduce your energy usage and then look at generation on the property. So what I think we'll do is start out with Brett, again, who has worked with Rhode Island Energy for several years and been involved with a number of the state's energy efficiency programs that Rhode Island Energy manages. So, Brett, you want to just give an overview of the type of incentives that you guys offer, and maybe the programs or the incentives that you think are the most popular that you see month to month with the program?
You bet. Thanks. And my mother's here, so take it easy on me. But
that's adorable.
No, great to be here, and I did want to see how many people in the room have participated in any of our programs. Ewan, great to see, and I'd love to hear about your experiences and how we can improve them. And also, for those of you who haven't or aren't participating, I don't want to sound like a used car salesman, but let me know what it'll take to get you into one of our programs. We got something for everyone, I think, both residential and commercial. Do we have any business owners here? There's mostly residential. Okay, good. Yeah, we get some business. So, yeah, we got programs for our residential, commercial, income eligible customers, both existing buildings and new construction. I'll talk a little bit about each of those. On the residential side, we tell people that good. We tell people to start with a home energy assessment. It's no cost. You can have someone come to your home and take a look around and see where. Thank you. The home energy assessment will come to your home and see what improvements can be made, and then tell you what kind of incentives we can provide for that. And even if you did one 5 or 10 years ago, you can do it again every couple of years. So they can always find new things for you. Then certainly we have programs for different types of equipment. Heat pumps are very popular these days. We can cover electric resistance to electric heat pump conversions, and I'm sure Chris can talk about what the state can do for oil and gas customers. And we also have incentives for people on the cooling side. So even just from an air conditioning perspective, if you're putting in a heat pump, we can give an incentive for that. Heat pump water heaters are getting very popular these days. That's probably one of the most growing pieces of equipment that we see. Then other things in your house, different types of appliances, washers, dryers, we have rebates for, and also smart thermostats, very popular. And we do have what we call a heat loan, which is a no-interest loan. So you can definitely have some of that financing for these larger projects to help you pay that off over time. Then on the commercial side, we have incentives for rebates, for retrofits of existing buildings, and then also for new construction. So for new construction, we work a lot with builders and developers and architects to help incentivize them to pay the incremental cost of going to a higher efficiency piece of equipment from whatever the baseline is. And we also have a program for small businesses specifically, so we'll pay about 70% of a project for small businesses, we have a vendor that we work with, but you can also do we call the CDO, the customer directed option. If you have, a contractor that you like to use, they're welcome to participate. And then I also want to talk about we have what we call OBR on bill repayment for commercial industrial customers. So it's a way where you can, it's no interest as well, and you can pay back the cost of the project on your bill over time. So another good low cost way to get some financing. I also want to mention our Connected Solutions program. If is anyone participating in that, it's our demand response program. If you have a smart thermostat or a battery at home or EV charger, you can participate in our demand response program. We'll pay you to help reduce the peaks on the grid, and we have that for commercial and industrial customers as well. And we'll probably talk more about our collaboration with the other parties here. I'll hold off on that, but definitely want to talk more about how we work with all the different people on this panel. So I'll stop there.
Brett, thank you so much for that overview of the programs and the incentives that you offer. I'm assuming that you made Mom proud in the audience, so that's you checked that box, I'm going to guess. There's another great number of programs and incentives, particularly on the energy efficiency side, but they also do renewable energy, and that's the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank. They've been a great partner with the Office of Energy Resources for the last several years. But they do offer some very innovative programs, including commercial property assessed clean energy and some of the revolving loan funds. So, Greg, you want to just give an overview of the opportunities that RIB offers?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Chris. So the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank, for those of you that don't know exactly what we do, is we're a state authority that was established in the early 90s to do sewer and water projects. And the primary mechanism in how we fund projects that are really big and expensive is we take a base cap grant that we get from Congress, and then we leverage it and revolve it back in. So we're able to make loans for very large projects using a small dollar amount, but using the bond market, we're able to have a much larger outsized impact. And we take that same sort of principle towards energy efficiency and renewable energy projects as well. So in 2016, the state legislature had expanded our mandate to include renewable energy projects and energy efficiency projects. So we take an annual allocation from Rhode Island Energy, and we leverage that when we make investments in projects. So some of the programs that we do this sort of work through is our Efficient Buildings Fund, and that's in direct collaboration with the Office of Energy Resources. And what that does is that offers this sort of financing mechanism available to cities and towns who would otherwise have to pay out of pocket, or they would have to go to market themselves, which can be a very expensive process. And as many people in this room know, oftentimes when you're facing sort of a budget constraint with a large capital project, the first thing to get cut are renewable energy measures. So this program was designed specifically to make the financing work and make that investment available. A notable project that we've done was that new East Providence High School that was built about 5 years ago or so. We took a base allocation of around $5 million, and through leveraging, we made them a loan of over $23 million to make that sort of project happen. And then that project included a lot of energy efficiency measures that went above baseline code. Another program that we have that Chris had mentioned is our commercial property assessment and clean energy. And we call it CPACE because that's a really large thing to say, but that's a program that's available to the commercial industry. So if you are a property owner that has a commercially used property, a building that needs improvements, or a new construction project, we source capital providers for that. And we have a mechanism that the city and town that the project takes place in can enroll in CPACE, and we use them as kind of a backstop for loans. So in a high interest rate environment where credit is very tight, to still make renewable energy projects happen, often CPACE is used to fill those gaps and allow the project that would otherwise not happen to move forward. And then our more recent program that we have launched is called the Clean Energy Fund, and that makes funding available for entities outside of just the public sector. So we've done a couple loans to some not-for-profits that were in desperate need for the money to be able to make their own energy efficiency improvements to their buildings. As you know, New England has the oldest building stock in the country, and it's very inefficient. So being a nonprofit, that's a very high lift to ask them to modernize their facilities to reduce their energy load.
Perfect. Greg, thanks for that overview. Again, you guys do tremendous work. I always point to, under a CPACE project, the solar rooftop at the Ace Hardware in downtown Westerly as you head towards Musqueamicut Beach. That was a really great rooftop solar project financed by RIP a couple of years ago.
And another one that I would point out is actually right next door, the Aloft Hotel, that used CPACE financing to make above baseline code measure improvements.
Very nice, very nice. Well, shifting gears maybe to the renewable and the solar piece. Karen, who manages the state's Renewable Energy Fund. The Renewable Energy Fund has been around for well over a decade, but I know Karen has been doing a great job overseeing and managing that program for the last several years. And it's really taken off in terms of opportunities for residential solar, commercial solar, and more recently in the last few years, solar paired with energy storage opportunities. So, Karen, you want to maybe just give an overview of the various programs?
Sure, Chris. Thanks. Again, Karen Stewart, Renewable Energy Fund, and I've been there for the last 5 years. Just had my 5-year anniversary, which is really exciting. So as Chris mentioned, we have a number of core programs. We have 5 running right now, and we have a few more that are being worked on. And we can explain what those are as we get around the conversation to that. So our core programs are the small scale and commercial scale PV grant. The small scale is our most popular. We just launched a round on Friday, and I think we had about 140 individual grant applications, about 1.5 million in grants, just to give you an idea of what the scope is and the volume for that. Mostly those are homes. Some are small farms and small businesses that fall into that category. We also give grants to commercial businesses, and those can be nonprofits, and it's up to $75,000 for that grant level. As the federal policies have changed, we've seen changes to the income tax credit that's available for renewables. And so that's going to really impact what we do, and we're trying to be responsive, do some program analysis, and pivot to allow, to sustain the market here. We have a really strong group of installers that work in solar in Rhode Island, and we're trying to keep our programs consistent. So we've announced 3 rounds for 2026, and we've announced the incentive levels for 2026 so that businesses can anticipate, talk to their customers, and get those proposals out using our incentive to help their customers go solar. And I'm not sure if Chris mentioned our brownfield program that helps towns and cities to convert landfills and old industrial sites. And as they're converting them, they can work with RIB on some of their brownfield needs for remediation, but they can also add solar and storage to whatever that structure is going to be. And that's helped out a lot of inner city properties, but also every town seems to have an old dump that would look great with some solar panels on it. They can't really do much else with it. Our energy storage program has been very successful, and as the technology has changed and the prices have gone down, we've seen that program grow in popularity. The state, Chris, maybe you can explain the energy storage program that the state has now offered. So there are just so many more offerings for folks, and I would recommend that anyone who has questions about what we do and what we offer, please give us a call. We'll explain, we'll walk you through it, whether it's for you, a friend, a family member, a client. We don't have a billboard on the highway, I wish we did, that could advertise our programs and how we can help walk people through them. And then just a couple more things that are in the works. We have a reissuance of a low to moderate income solar program. It's called ASAP, which stands for Affordable Solar Access Pathways. And that's going to be coming out to public bid this summer. And we also have microgrid. We work with microgrids and community solar as well.
Karen, thanks for that overview. I know Karen and Shauna from the Office of Energy Resources, shortly after we knew that the federal tax credit for direct installation was going to be sunsetting, late last year. I know Karen and Sean and the team started to brainstorm in terms of making modifications to our state solar incentive programs to try to make up for some of that loss. Can't cover it entirely, but I know that they were taking proactive steps over the summer into the fall to get that ready. And obviously, the REF does great work and has their application periods over the next several months between the residential and the commercial market. So appreciate everything that Karen and the team does. Maybe jumping back to maybe some of the financing stuff. Scott, you want to give some remarks?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate it. And really, I'm here more to tell a story about a kind of an evolution, right? Being a Caterpillar dealer, we're tied to one of the most globally recognized heavy equipment brands in the world, right? And Caterpillar is not the same old tractor company that they were 5, 10, or 15 years ago. If any of you guys are market watchers, you look at what their stock has done in the last year, right? They are transforming into an energy company, to an energy provider.
Scott, you want to just put your mic up just a little
Sure.
closer?
You guys hear me all right? All right, good. So Caterpillar is transforming from this, an old tractor company into really an energy provider, right? And whether that's energy services, whether it's assets, and for the purposes of this discussion, it's investment, right? It's funding, that's private investment, that's project ownership, really looking for soft areas that we can bridge a gap between maybe where government programs don't allow projects to move forward. If there's an opportunity for us to do that, we look to do that certainly. That's on the, I guess I'd call it the energy services side of the house, on a more of a product side of the house, if you will. That gets into resource management, right? Economic dispatch platforms. All of those things are being pulled under the Caterpillar umbrella now, especially as they evolve into the hard product sector of renewables, battery storage, inverters. A lot of the technology that you see going into data center development, other energy project development all over the world. So that's the quick highlight. And really, as a local representative of that brand, we're looking to put our own private dollars into those projects where and when it makes sense as well. So.
Perfect. Appreciate that overview and the activity that you guys are directly involved with. And our wonderful host that puts these annual clean energy events together. You want to just highlight anything?
No pressure.
No pressure. Obviously, you guys do a great job just organizing these events, but there's also some great things that they've been working on in terms of trying to promote clean energy incentive and opportunities for particularly those that may not be aware of all the different state and federal program that are out there.
Yeah, we spent a little over a year building a resource portal that takes all of these incredible organizations and the money that they have available that they have on their websites, and they do the best they can, right, to let all of our local businesses know, nonprofits know, municipalities know. But if any of you have tried to find it outside of that, it can be difficult to not just find the money, but it can be difficult to figure out how to maneuver, how to apply. And so this portal that we created basically takes not just all the money that you hear about today through these organizations, but all of them. And we made it into one spot that you can easily go on to and find it all. And then what this portal does in addition to that is it takes away the what do I do next step, because many of these grants can be stacked and a lot of people don't understand that, and it isn't user friendly for the most part out there. And so over 3,000 databases currently hold a lot of money that's out there, not just for Rhode Island, federal, private, as Scott mentioned, foundational grants, and then how to layer that. So we simply wanted to make it easier, not just with a roadmap, but how to apply for that. And so when you go onto the portal, you'll see that it's in 6 different languages now. And it is user friendly. So what would normally take you weeks and months can now take you less than 10 minutes to find everything that's available to you. So we certainly are just here to help businesses understand what's out there, make it easier for them, as well as now we've added our renters and homeowners into this portal. So it's a great opportunity for us, but it's more about promoting the people on these panels in the sense of what programs they have, like OER, energy efficiency that Brett is heading up, Rhode Island Energy again, everybody thinks the big bad wolf with you guys because you're the one that sends them that bill, right? But we can't even be sitting on this panel talking about anything clean or renewable without Rhode Island Energy being at the table. And I think Greg and what Ribbit's doing in those great programs, Karen, remarkable. If you guys get a chance, I encourage you when you are on that live link to click onto their websites. Karen's got some great programs that are out there. The brownfield is very interesting to me, but I am nerdy. So I don't know if they'll find it as a great of a read, but if you do, it's a great website to go to. And Scott's private funding, huge.
Thank you, Kristin, for that overview. Appreciate it. And maybe I'll just back clean up and then open up questions just in terms of just some of the OER programs that are active right now. One is obviously our electric vehicle rebate program that we collaborate annually with the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank. And again, that's been a great partnership in promoting that EV rebate program. I think we're at about 3,300 EV rebates have been issued over the last 2.5, 3 years. Again, I think of the Erica Nadowski electric bicycle program whenever I'm in this area of Providence in terms of biking. That program has been active for just over 3 years now. I think we've awarded over 2,000 e-bikes to constituents across the state. We have our $30 million plus home electrification appliance rebate program that we launched in late 2024, encountered a brief freeze by the current federal administration in early 2025. Fortunately, that program has been active now for just over a year, and that is doing electric panels, electric wiring, electric stoves, and air source heat pump dryers with income eligible households throughout the state. And then I think a week or so, we're gearing up to roll out that program to moderate income households and the next phase of that program. So we're excited about that. We just recently announced earlier this week that we've obligated and awarded the balance of what's known as the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Funds, known as NEVI. So we have awarded just over 100 new EV charging infrastructure system projects across the state, both fast chargers and level 2 chargers. Our understanding is we're the first state in New England and one of the few states to fully obligate out and secure all the federal funding that was awarded to Rhode Island for those projects. So those projects will begin construction this spring, this summertime period. We have active right now what's known as the New England Heat Pump Accelerator Program amongst a number of New England states. We launched our $35 million accelerator program for rebate incentives for air source heat pumps and heat pump water heaters. So that's roughly a $35 million program that is now active. More recently, we just rolled out the state's first standalone energy storage rebate incentive program for both residential and commercial opportunities. So that program is fairly new. Over the last 2 or 3 weeks, we just launched that. So really, there's a suite of incentives depending on the agency or the utility in terms of various incentives for renewable energy, energy efficiency. Obviously, all those programs play an important role with the state's ongoing efforts with the Act on Climate in terms of emission reductions, whether it's on the transportation side, the electricity, or the thermal sector. So really appreciate all the individuals here today that do a great job promoting those opportunities for homeowners, businesses, and other constituents. So with that, Brett.
Well, I just want to talk a little bit about the collaboration that we do with the programs too, because I think, like Kristin said, it's great to have all these different funding sources, but it can be hard for the customer to put them all together themselves. So it is important that we try to do all the behind the scenes stuff on our side and then try to present as much of a unified product to the customer as we can. But we work very closely with OER on our programs, the heat pump programs. If you're going to put in a heat pump, you should always weatherize beforehand. Make sure you don't oversize it. Well, I'll give some acronym soup here. We work with OER and DHS on WAP and LIHEAP funding, but that's a weatherization assistance program and low-income heating assistance that help. The term is braiding. If you hear that term, braiding these funding sources together. And then on the business side, we've worked a lot with RIB in the past on commercial building incentives, and I have my rib water bottle here just to show that we work together. And we're working currently with Commerce on a small business incentive program to try to have our funding go further for customers. So I just wanted to show that we're all working together to try to make it as seamless as possible for the customers.
Thanks, Brett. Any initial comments or questions from the audience on anything that you want to ask regarding any of the energy programs, state or federal?
Hi, my name is Grub. Your perspective.
I'm happy to take this and feel free to, or if you want to go first. Yeah.
Okay, Kevin. Kevin's program works with Commerce, and we have an energy fellow for the year through his program, and it's just wonderful. We love it, and we love the connection with URI as well. One of the gaps that we found as a program that we wanted to fill was the low to moderate income solar program, and it's been an interesting road. And I think, like I mentioned, we're sort of redoing the program and reissuing another go at it this summer. But I think the important thing to think about is the community connection with that sort of program to be successful. The technology has been there, but these folks have not been able to take advantage of it. And so we've kind of taken an all-at-once approach to looking at why that is, and also working with community groups to understand what the needs are of the community and how to communicate with them. So I just wanted to mention that that's a gap that we had seen, and we're trying to address it. It's never easy, but I think that we're doing the work to try to figure out the best approach this time.
Good answer. And I would know in terms of, it's not only the gaps, but ultimately making sure that we stay the course on a number of programs that are operational right now. So certainly right now we are trying to make sure that our state energy efficiency program is extended out. That is scheduled to expire within the state law, I think in about 15, 16 months. So we are proposing a 10-year extension of that program, similar to the great program that Karen manages, the Renewable Energy Fund. Wanting to get that extended out as well for the next 5+ years.
And I would like to add that that's going to be more important to when you're looking at these grants, to really look at what can be stacked, because there's many of these programs that you can stack, which will eliminate the gap in funding that a lot of commercial businesses run into, and sometimes even homeowners for that matter.
And Kevin, I don't know if you're fishing for compliments, but I'll mention multifamily is definitely a gap that we see in the programs, that people talking about a tenant landlord split and the split in incentives of who's benefiting and who's going to pay and who should be responsible for it. So that's something that we're hyper focused on right now. And we are working with URI and other partners to try to address that market.
And certainly on the multifamily home, just because you mentioned that, we're cautiously optimistic. We've been waiting about 16 months. So we have a $30 million federal grant that we pretty much did everything for. We're just waiting on the blessing to launch it. And that will be focused on multifamily household heat pump installations. So we're cautiously optimistic we're going to be able to roll out that program over the next month or two.
And then one thing I'll say is, from what we've seen on the public side, is a big backlog in energy audits. So it's catching up quick, but a program that RIV offers that's been very useful for communities has been our energy asset management program. So we pay for ASHRAE level 1 audits of publicly owned buildings to establish a baseline of improvements needed. And while that seems like an obvious first step to making renewable or efficiency improvements to a structure, if you think from the level of a city where they have dozens of assets that they need to prioritize, it can be difficult. And the public sector has been lagging for a while and catching up to market rate type improvements to structures. So it's been an invaluable program for going on half a dozen communities now.
Again, I would like to, can I say one thing? Scott and I are in Massachusetts, but MC2 was a very big part of what happened with Wakefield Municipal Light. And I think that that's kind of something to point out because the municipalities here have those same kind of advantages and how you guys set that up.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you bringing that one up. We're pretty proud of it. It's a great energy park concept that really could and frankly probably should be applied on a much wider scale. Just the quick overview: 2 public schools with rooftop solar, battery storage, and then a natural gas generator that rounds out a self-sustaining microgrid. So that serves, obviously, there's the renewable part of that, but it serves as its own island in these towns, right, for emergency shelters and things of that nature. So along with driving, rate certainty and stability for the ratepayers in that municipal utility territory. But yeah, I mean, as far as like programs go, like I said, we can tend to step in where maybe there isn't a program that applies or what have you, right? But the energy service part of this is, not every project makes sense economically, but if I can apply a product that maybe justifies an investment, I jokingly call our energy resource management system, it's the Uber to asset investment, right? So it's something that you may not recognize you have today available to you, but monetizing existing assets or frankly just managing energy within your own facilities can justify asset investment through a lot of these programs.
Thanks, Scott. Was there any other comments or questions in the audience? As I could certainly follow up with Karen with a question, but Brett's mom.
Not for me, is it?
Yeah, so certainly there is a lively debate up at the Rhode Island State House right now on data centers in terms of how to navigate those both from an energy usage perspective, but also local land use development, taxation policy, and those type of things. Certainly, they are going to emerge in terms of those opportunities being looked at. I believe the one right now is in the North Smithfield area of Rhode Island. There may be a couple. High level, those sites do require a significant amount of acreage in terms of opportunity. So certainly we're going to see those throughout the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic in terms of those that have a little bit more real estate for such developments. Obviously, it does have a ripple effect on energy costs within the region, particularly with these projects and the transmission that they trigger in terms of associated costs. So it's certainly something that OER is monitoring. Obviously, certainly Rhode Island Energy would be in the trenches monitoring those issues. So I think we're at the beginning stages, and I think we're just going to see what happens at least over the next 4 to 5 weeks at the State House as they look at possible legislation on that subject. So Angela.
Much it is.
So I can just do a high level type of a response. One of the things that's going to be interesting in terms of depending on what the General Assembly ultimately decides to do on the energy efficiency subject, again, one of the biggest things that we're just mindful of is the law itself does expire without an extension. So several years ago, we worked on an extension of that law. So we remain hopeful that will certainly occur. One of the interesting things is between the state level incentives and just kind of navigating the ongoing federal dynamics. Knock on wood, I don't want to jinx myself, but we've been fortunate in the last 10 or 11 months in terms of some of the federal energy efficiency incentives that have been able to be deployed. The home electrification appliance rebate program has really been going well with the CAP agencies that work with income eligible households. So we're really excited about that program and that effort. And again, the money has been drawing down. I think we did just over $1 million last year from that program. And again, the plan is to roll out the next phase being moderate income household that can access such appliances at a local Lowe's. In terms of, for some reason, that when the federal law was passed, it was called a coupon program. So that, we're currently implementing that. The $35 million heat pump program really is a game changer just in terms of that federal funding source. Obviously was being debated last year, and we opened up that program, I believe, back in February, March time period. Again, I've still mentioned the other $30 million that we're awaiting the federal approval for heat pumps within multifamily home related efforts. And then there's some innovative things that we're doing right now. I think some of you may have been there, but obviously for those that are at the State House, often when you leave the State House, there's a high-rise apartment that you can see in the distance. We did air source window-based heat pump installations, and that building had not been touched since the original electric baseboard was installed back in the late 1970s, early 1980s. So I believe we did 192 window-based heat pump units within that property. You can see them; they all stick out of the windows. It's pretty visible, and I believe that was one of the first in the country to do that within affordable housing project. And I know that the team is already starting to look at other affordable housing properties across the state to replicate that that related effort. So those things are obviously very active. There's one more thing I'm just drawing a mental blank on right now, but certainly, again, we'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks with the legislative process in terms of the state energy efficiency programs and obviously all the federal funding that we've been able to leverage with that over the last 12 months. And again, hopefully that is maintained and no further dynamics from DC.
I do want to say something that is something that we all have to do. There's all of these great financing sources, and there's many more out there, but we have to take the initiative, whether we're homeowners or whether we're business owners or whether we work for a nonprofit, to just spend some time actually looking for them, because the money is there. It can be a little bit tricky to find outside of your own state, but it's there. Just kind of take that proactive approach and spend a few minutes on these sites so you can actually see what's available, because there's a lot of programs.
And it just came back to my brain. One of the things that we're starting to do right now, and it's always been a barrier, it's always been kind of a pet peeve of mine, is pre-weatherization with energy efficiency. So we recently partnered with Green and Healthy Homes in terms of some of their federal funds with our state funds to, I think we're working on somewhere between, 30 to 50 housing units, because ultimately, for those that want to do energy efficiency, if you have, sheetrock that's moldy or plywood subsurface in your kitchen, you're not going to install a new energy efficiency measure on a faulty foundation. So we've started to work with Green Healthy Homes on that issue. So I think that's the next area that we're going to start really diving into and starting advancing more projects is just getting around that pre-weatherization barrier that a lot of times blocks people to access the state energy efficiency programs.
We don't have that problem in New England, do we?
One question I have for Karen, maybe just for those in the room and then watching, is maybe just in terms of, again, the Renewable Energy Fund and the residential solar program certainly has been very popular over the last several years and is usually one of the biggest uptakes within the funding that we have available with that effort. Can you maybe just walk through the audience and those watching live, just the sequence in terms of from start to finish, what is the typical time frame in terms of submitting a grant, receiving the funding, and the mechanics of that between the homeowner and the solar contractor?
Sure. And we do have resources on our website. We have a homeowner's guide to going solar that was just updated, I believe, by the State Energy Office. Thank you very much. And it's a real helpful guide to just starting the process, which can be a little daunting. Our grant launches 3 times a year, so we have 3 rounds, and those are up on our website, and we also communicate that through a stakeholder group, which is mostly comprised of those who are going to be installing the solar or involved in some way, designing it, selling it. Other community groups are on that stakeholder list. And the reason we communicate through those folks is because they're the ones who are actually at the kitchen table talking to prospective solar customers. And so they know our process pretty well, but I'll give you a quick overview of how it works. we open a grant. And prior to that, that developer has met with a homeowner to find out what they're interested in, what their needs are, and given them a proposal. And when it reaches the contract and the person agrees to that proposal, they are then eligible to submit it to our grant through one of our open rounds. There's some technical paperwork involved, certainly electrical drawings, layouts, and it is a technical application. And so the installer is the one to submit it on the homeowner's behalf. And it's just because of the technical nature of that. We accept bundled applications, which means many customers from one installer can be submitted at once, and that's for efficiency. Also, we can write one agreement for grant with that installer for all of their customers at once. We've worked quite hard on making the process for the solar developer very efficient. And so once we review the application and then we now have an agreement with them, they can go ahead and build those projects. They have a year to put those projects in before we ask for the completion paperwork to prove that the project was installed and then work on paying out the grant. It's usually a lot faster than that. Sometimes if it's a large project, it will take a year because of permitting, but the smaller projects, the pipeline's usually a lot shorter. So once the paperwork comes in saying, yes, we're interconnected, this project is live, we actually have a third-party inspection requirement. We're one of the only programs, I think, in the country that inspects 100% of our grant-funded projects. And the reason we do that is there's a couple reasons. One is to give the homeowner or small business that extra assurance that their installation is safe and to code. The folks that we hired to do the inspections are experts, and they actually train municipal inspectors out in the field. They know what they're looking for. So that's one reason. And the other is we really feel that it's brought up the quality of the installations in our state quite a bit. And you can talk to those installers and stakeholders and understand how that actually works. So we do some on-site training with those inspections. Some of them are done remotely. There are trainings in between on code compliance that our inspection team does as well, that they're invited to. So we're very excited about that. But we also think it saves the installers a lot of money if they install something properly the first time. And so that inspection piece is the last stage before we actually pay the grant out. Once it's paid, there's no further connection. Although the homeowner has access to us at any time during the process to ask questions. But if the installer's doing their job correctly, they usually don't reach out to us.
Thank you for that great overview. And speaking of efficient with time, because Kristin would yell at me if we go over, I appreciate I greatly appreciate the panel here today and given the great things that they're working on. Appreciate those in the audience today and those watching live. So thank you very much.